This is Linux Inlaws, a podcast on topics around free and open source software, any associated contraband, communism, the revolution in general, and whatever else fancies your tickle. Please note that this and other episodes may contain strong language, offensive humor, and other certainly not politically correct language. You have been warned. Our parents insisted on this disclaimer. Happy, Mum? Thus, the content is not suitable for consumption in the workplace, especially when played back on a speaker in an open plan office or similar environments. Any minors under the age of 35, or any pets, including fluffy little killer bunnies, your trusted guide dog, unless on speed, and cute T-Rexes or other associated dinosaurs.
Welcome to Linux Inlaws, Season 2, Episode 30. Martin, how are things on this beautiful, I'm almost tempted to say autumn day, but it's not autumn actually, it's almost spring.
Yeah. Well, almost spring, yeah. Why autumn?
Just to raise the attention of the audience? I don't know.
Well, surely they're not listening to it at the same time as we're recording. So
That's very true. That's very true, yes.
Anyway.
So they have about 50 years of delay between recording an episode and releasing it. Unless the flux capacitor can be fixed, of course.
Well, forget about the flux capacitor. Just think about archive, they're all being fixed, right?
Well, that was fixed a long time ago, a couple of months back, actually, so no worries. Archive.log, if you're listening, thank you again for hosting us.
Yes. You're hosting us.
So now is the time, given the fact that this podcast now is 5 years old, that marks actually an anniversary, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So for those two
paper
people...
or something? I don't know.
Say again?
What is 5 years? Paper or bronze or something?
No, Martin, it's not PayPal. Unless that hasn't really changed and you always think about money anyway. No worries. I mean, it's called an anniversary.
No, it's wood. There you go. 5 years is wood.
Wood?
Yep.
Martin, you're the married one. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I can't remember everything. Anyway, it is wood.
Mrs. Visser, if you're listening, you want to check up on your husband. Okay, so if you are married, like you are twice, and I'm married almost.
I don't think people
once.
can get married twice. You know, that's cool.
Well, you're married to podcast
bigotry, isn't
Inlaws. And of course, your lovely wife.
Ah, yes.
That
Indeed.
means polygamy in action, no?
Yeah,
Mrs. Visser, if you're listening, that was a joke. Your husband is still dedicated 100% to you. The podcast just a sideline. I hope.
Well, who knows?
Martin, you should actually, because I'm not married.
Oh yes, yeah. No, I meant the dedication to the podcast is, of course, unwavering. As you know.
Fair enough. So that's dedication for you.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to the anniversary thing.
Yes.
So 5 years, that is wood. And you're not talking about morning wood, are you? Rather like afternoon or evening wood.
Well, just any kind of wood. It could be a forest. It could be mahogany, teak. What else? Pine, oak. You name it.
Why is it called wood in the first place? Do you know?
Well, because gold, silver, and bronze were already taken.
Yeah, but they come later, no?
Yes, exactly.
So let me ask
hang on. What else can we sell people? We'll make up something for 5 years.
Let me hazard a guess here. When this whole naming scheme was invented, wood was probably clocking at the cheapest, whereas silver and gold, of course, were more expensive. So if you last 5 years, it's going to be wood. If you last 25 years, it's going to be silver. And if you happen to manage the 50 anniversary, it's going to be gold. Yeah.
But if you, give it another 50 years, and probably wood will be the most expensive one, right? It'll be in.
Will we
fuel prices and
see it?
Indeed.
Probably not.
Deforestation, global warming. Yeah, that's wood prices only going up to start investing now.
Yes, but you see,
you heard it here first.
Chances are we won't get to see it in the first place. Because Martin,
yes.
no, Martin will be 120, and I will be clocking it at about 100,
I see.
or vice versa. I keep forgetting.
I guess you're difficult. It's old age stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm always difficult, Martin. Don't worry about it. Just ask post-production or marketing for that matter. If they're still around, if you haven't fired them anyway.
I think post-production do a very good job, so we should keep them around.
For those two people in the audience who haven't been following us for the last 5 years, we should probably recount of how it all got into place.
Yeah, we should.
It was the year 20... No, it was actually 20... No, Martin.
Yes.
It was actually 2504 when we met actually in a place called Carmen's Canteen and in Mos Eisley, if I'm completely mistaken, on the lovely planet of Tatooine.
Yes. What's his name? Chalmers, the Wookiee.
That's the one, yeah. That Wookiee, exactly, that Wookiee patron. No, jokes aside, it was actually in the year 19... No, it wasn't, not 19, but 2019.
Yes,
and the place was actually a place in Prague that shall remain nameless.
Yes, we can't remember.
Something exactly.
Yeah.
Where Martin had about 5 kilos of spicy chicken wings, and I only had 4 of them. And when we came up with the idea that A, we are really into open source, and that B, we should do something about it.
Were they also some kind of real ale place, or whatever it was? Not real ale. What were they?
The craft beer, of course.
Craft beer.
Yes.
Thank you. Craft beer
in Prague.
In Prague, indeed.
That shall go nameless because they haven't paid their dues, right? So.
Yes, of course. If you're listening, craft beer place in.
Don't worry about the marketing department because that's gone. Okay, probably now's the time to
quite a few of them, actually. Yeah. Yes, recount
the last 5 years.
Let's do it.
Let's recount.
So, 2019, we did
market share about 95%. Competition gone.
I don't know. There's kind of these vague floss people poking around every week, but they clearly haven't got the following that we do.
Jonathan Bennett from Floss Weekly, if you're listening, that was a joke. Still around, and we do appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in fairness, how much competition is out there? Floss Weekly, of course. Details may or may not be shown.
It depends what you count competition, right? If you're looking for a couple of nutters.
podcasts on general floss issues. The Grumpies have defected because they're not about software anymore. Never mind free and libre and open source software.
Indeed. They're about
likes of
now, aren't they? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The likes of Linux Matters and all the rest of them focus on one topic mostly, as in our beloved operating system. But what else is there? You do have other podcasts like what are they called?
Linux Lads.
Yeah, but again, they're mostly focused on Linux.
True. Yes, yeah.
As a technical podcast about an operating system.
There's one thing you can say about ours is it's pretty diverse in terms of topics and people. And all
exactly. We are pretty diverse when it comes down to the whole thing, aren't we? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think so. Yeah.
Of course, you have other podcasts like Open Source Underdogs and the Open Source Startup Podcast, but they focus on the commercial angle. As in, if you have this cool idea for a code base and how to take this kind of to the market. But again, I wouldn't compare them to us because we are not about monetization, unless I missed that memo.
Well, it has been discussed a few times, but never gone anywhere. Yes.
Exactly. We're still not rolling in dough unless other people.
Sure.
And we're still this hobby.
Well, don't even mention rolling. It's
exactly.
Any contributions are absent, I would say.
But you
Beer or
see,
otherwise.
but I would consider that to be more a blessing than a curse.
Oh
Because
yeah. No,
this doesn't
yeah.
tie us to any sponsor or something.
Mhm.
But sponsors, if you're listening, the clocking rate is about 7 digits. And the email address is sponsor@linuxinlaws.eu. We can be bought, but rest assured it's not cheap. No. Martin has his price. I'm sorry, cheaper, but as I said, let's send send that mail and we'll take it from there. Jokes aside, no, I mean we set out.
Or don't bother in the first place, right?
We set out to be that hardware project that we still are. Never mind these trillions of listeners clocking in with regards to downloads. If stats are anything to go by, but maybe they're rigged. I don't know.
Well, that doesn't even include the aliens and the sheep listening, right?
Exactly. I mean, we do not know how many extraterrestrial people are listening. Sorry, not people, but rather beings.
Beings, yes. Yeah. Anyway, I think that advert on the in Mos Eisley did it, so they probably all listening now.
That was before you fired the 5th marketing department?
Oh, I can't remember that far back. I've lost count now. Yeah.
I mean, jokes aside, what has changed in the last 5 years? Okay, we have become more popular. You see this actually in the download stats. And people, this trillion figure was a joke. It's more like billions these days.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest, I think we kind of settled into a certain routine, let's put it that way, in terms of what we do and types of people we interview and all these kind of things, right? It's we have had some thoughts about doing some different episodes, but we have yet to do that.
True.
But that's not to say that we won't, because I think we have something planned for this year, whatever it's called. So,
certainly 2025. I mean, because 2025 is pretty much booked.
Yep.
So, any projects, Codebase, who wants to have a say on this podcast, please do get in touch. The address is feedback@linuxinlaws.eu, but unfortunately we are completely booked for 2025. That means if you get in touch, there will be an airing slot next year, as in 2026.
Yeah, I think this is probably the first year we've completely booked up in advance, right?
That's probably true, yes.
But anyway, that's fine. There are many different angles to cover and people to projects to find out, people to speak
Absolutely.
to.
I think it's what has been a trend, for want of a better expression, is that we moved away from a purely technical focus rather to more political, groundbreaking, revolutionary stuff. Because as the years go by, we have more people from kind of, I'm almost going to say the liberal union side, as in the political angle. And the FSFE, the FSFF, upcoming show, by the way, and the Georgian chapter of the EFF talk mostly about gun laws in the US. Are probably just a few examples. By the way, Georgia, if you're listening, that was actually a very beautiful episode, and according to download stats, that was one of the most downloaded episodes from a non-technical perspective. Of course, details may be in the show notes. For the people who didn't listen to this show, it's actually the Georgian chapter of the EFF speaking about civil rights in the US, and of course gun laws being very high on that agenda. And if you are interested in that sort of thing, not just from a US perspective, that's probably one of the shows in the back catalog you want to listen to.
Let's try to remember when this was, right? It's
1937 in September, I think.
Okay. sounds promising. Yeah.
Martin apparently hasn't listened to back-catalogue.
Well, I have listened to them, but I don't recall the exact date of the
Well, you were
when they
present
went out.
when we recorded the show, so there's no need.
I don't. Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while ago since we spoke to
Yes.
them, but
I mean,
Indeed.
5 years with bi-monthly.
Right. Well, 5 years. Yes. Yeah. Carry on. I'll come back to that in a minute.
5 years with 24 releases
24.
a year.
Or, no. 20.
We
26,
release
right?
every 2 weeks, Martin. Yes.
That make
And we haven't, as far as I can recall,
to my
ever
calculation.
diverged from the schedule. That makes it more than 100 episodes, hence the numbering scheme. Yes. And it was formerly called, it was called in former times as a Y2K problem, but we are proud to stick to that numbering scheme. For old times.
We passed episode 100 a couple of years ago, actually. Oh.
And season 2, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so going on to the 5-year thing,
By the way,
I think
did
the first
Vladimir get in
time-
touch? Before I forget. Vladimir Putin, yes.
Why would he get in touch with us?
5-year plans and stuff.
Well, surely he has no such plan that long in advance. It seems to be somewhat more opportunistic, his approach to things.
5-year plan.
Oh,
I mean, the USSR was essentially the place where 5-year plans emerged originally, no? Back in almost 100 years. As in, you're talking about 50.
They had them. I don't know if they originated there, but yes.
They certainly make them very popular.
But yeah, it seems to be more like a weekly plan with Putin nowadays. Anyway,
if only events are anything to go by, yes. So scrap the Putin remark.
Yeah. But on the 5 years piece, we cannot do this every year, right? But also we had in the first 5-year one, we kind of set out the 5-year plan, right?
Yes, world domination, the Russian national anthem, and all the rest of it. Yes, things. I'm afraid to say that things do have changed. You cannot. I mean, seriously. I mean, you cannot regard Russia as a role model anymore. Never mind communism, all the rest of it. I mean, if they enter a war or a military dispute, whatever you want to call it, that's not happening because open source is not about wars. It's about the furthering of technology using, I'm almost tempted to say, the movement in terms of spreading ideas and no confines.
Yeah, it's quite the opposite, right? It's more about
exactly
together to work on a common cause rather than trying to.
So, Putin, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, stop this war now. Do not do it tomorrow. Do not do it next week. Never mind what Donald says in the US. Just do it now. You only gain to win.
Yes. Yes. World domination. Yes.
World domination. Yes. So, given the numbers, we're not too far off. I'm joking.
Exactly. He is. He's back, isn't he? It's quite surprising. He was in power when we started, right?
Trump was in power when we started. Yes. This is what you would call a. What's what I'm looking for?
Deja vu?
Negative recount? No. No, a bad turn. Sorry, yes.
Anyway.
Exactly. Plus the fact that both House of Reps and Senate, as in the Congress, is now red, which essentially gives them a free ticket. And yes, I'm talking about Donald Trump now. As in and of course we'll get a lot of hate mail probably now. The beloved idiot in the White House.
Well, don't know if beloved is the right word, but I guess people voted for it.
This is the trouble with democracy, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
People have to get a vote. People do have a vote. Sometimes people do take that to an extreme in terms of voting for the wrong people, but of course, this is just this is just Martin's and my opinion.
Yeah, it's politics for you.
But I reckon by the time we're releasing this, Canada has already been annexed.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it's certainly
Never
got
mind
rid
Greenland or
of
something.
got rid of whatever his name was. What was his name? Trudeau. Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone, Martin. He's gone.
But then, yeah.
So Donald, here's an idea. If you listen to this, I'm sure you are. Next stop is Moscow. Just annex the whole thing and put the war to an end. Like you promised when you were running for president all those months ago.
I wouldn't give him too many ideas. He may start an invasion or something.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing, because then he's preoccupied, though. So forget about this border to Mexico, this wall, all the rest of it. Never mind annexing Greenland and Canada, what have you. I mean, he's totally focused on Russia.
Who knows?
Well, I have
no idea what he's doing these days. Yeah. Anyway, going back to the 5 years, there was another turnaround as well, right? From when we started and now, a return of another, let's say, influential person in our in our midst.
Exactly, and this is not Joe Biden, but
he goes by the name of Anti-Res, right?
Indeed he does. So for the two people in the audience, Martin, who don't know who Anti-Res is, why don't you shed some light on the whole issue? Where he came from, what his ancestors were, how he ended up in Sicily and all the rest of it.
Indeed, yes. As you already mentioned, he's Sicilian, so the rest goes unsaid.
Yes. But you see, there are some people in the audience, I reckon, who do not read Wikipedia pages, never mind GitHub. So now's the time, Martin. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you mentioned that who don't watch mafia movies, but anyway. Yes, no.
The whole shebang, Martin.
His real name is Salvatore Sanfilippo, right? And he was, as most of us know, the creator of Redis back in the day.
Very much so, yes.
But yeah, the fact that he came from Sicily is kind of irrelevant, I think. As far as I know, anyway. I don't know anything.
Martin, why is he instrumental apart from creating this code base?
Why is he what, sorry?
Why he was and still is instrumental apart from creating this code base that we're going to go into a minute?
Well, he created it, yes.
In a minute, exactly, yes. But some Australian dudes decided to take a look at the code base and decided to form a company.
Israelian.
Data, exactly.
Yes.
And then renamed it to something called Redis Labs.
They did.
Which for some strange reason managed to garner a couple of VC funding rounds.
Couple? I think it's more like 10, 20 now.
I think when we joined, they clocked in clicks or something. And the keyword is, of course, when we joined, because Martin and myself met at said company called Redis Labs. Because I suppose without Redis Labs, there wouldn't be something called Linux Inlaws.
It's quite unlikely. Well, not in this form anyway.
Unless I would have joined EDB or something when he was still there.
Yes, this is possible. Yeah. Good choice. Could be worse. Postgres obviously being the best open source database out there. Yeah, just in case you didn't know that already.
Yeah, it's called, what's it called? MySQL or MariaDB or something. I can't even remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, yes, full disclosure, we met when Martin was still at Redis Labs and I was still at Redis Labs, and this is how we met. And without Salvatore Sanfilippo contributing the initial commit in 2009, I think it was, there wouldn't be a subsequent Redis Labs, and probably myself and Martin wouldn't have met. So kudos to Salvatore for fostering the biggest plot podcast on the planet.
How did he get this insight all those years ago?
Okay, maybe we should now spend 2 sentences on what Redis really is, because I reckon that many people are familiar with
No, we had an
Redis.
episode on this.
Yes, but not many. But you can't assume that all of the listeners have listened to all of the episodes, right? So,
so
Redis, in a nutshell,
Go
stands for remote, Martin,
dictionary
server. Yes, exactly. Essentially, it started out as a distributed key value store, but now is a multi-model database that is actually able to time travel or something.
Yeah, built-in flux capacitor and
exactly
a RAG and whatever you need.
Yeah, it's certainly positioning itself as a vector database or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Anything you need. Yeah.
But of course,
joking aside, there are clearly a few qualities that are important about Redis.
So to cut a very long timeline short, and we are talking about, as I said, we're recording this in 2073. So, so to cut a long timeline short, the two Israelis made that offer in 2012 to 2013. No, it was more like 2014, 2015, right?
Let me see. I have
when Salvatore joined Redis Labs, organized Theta Data. It was called then.
Yeah, and he's not only that, he also sold the rights to the Redis logo and trademark and stuff, right?
Yes. So, but in 2020, something else happened.
2020.
I think.
Wait. I have a timeline here because I went through this.
Martin, of course, is the prepared one. I'm not.
Well,
no, it must have been 2020. It must have been 2020. So my grandchildren keep telling me. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe they are wrong. I don't know.
Anyway, keep going.
Because in 2020, actually, Salvatore relinquished ownership of the project.
Yeah.
And what happened then, Martin?
What did he say before that?
I think his excuse was he couldn't be bothered anymore with pull requests and all the rest of it. And he would more...
He was writing books and stuff, wasn't he?
Writing books and doing ikebana and other Japanese art or something. I can't remember.
2015, yeah. Redis Labs. Okay. Yep.
So 4 people took over, right?
4? What do you mean?
And the stewardship of the project.
3, I thought.
That was more like 4.
No, it was 3 initially.
Are you counting Han Solo?
I'm not aware that he was scheme.
Maybe that's a well-guarded secret. I don't know. Okay, that case it was 3. So I mean, no. I mean, it's Madeline. It's that Asian guy, or it was rather.
Yeah, and there was one from Redis Labs, right? So there was 3 initially.
Yeah, exactly. The Russian dude. I can't remember.
There
was somebody from Redis Labs, of course, being involved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ori? Don't quote me the names. No.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes, they took over. They took over as a stewardship because the idea was basically not to piss off the hyperscalers. My words. I'm just saying. And what happened afterwards? I mean, the whole thing was still under stewardship of Redis Labs, or Redis as it was then called. But then, what happened? I mean, they changed the license. Of course, there is an episode on this.
There is, yeah.
Details, of course, will be in the show notes. But the Linux Foundation immediately forked the project. It's called Valky.
Well, no. It wasn't actually the Linux Foundation who forked the project. It was the bunch of core contributors who decided they didn't want to go along with this, and then they got the backing from the Linux Foundation. Yeah,
but the foundation immediately backed them
Yep.
because it was a very little unknown project at the time that only had about 2 code bases that required Redis. Quite the opposite. If you take a look at GitHub, I reckon come the mid-teens, Redis was probably the most popular caching solution in any Floss project on GitHub.
Yeah.
So no surprises that actually the biggest industry association offered immediate backing of the fork after this license change.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest, kids, as they say, is history.
It is, yeah.
Now, what happened
However,
early 2025, or rather late 2024, if I'm completely mistaken?
Well, our friend Salvatore wrote on his blog that
For reasons unknown yet?
Yes, indeed. Well, for reasons unknown, he was bored of doing his own stuff and said, "Oh, I'll come
You
back."
see, this is an assumption on your side, Martin, no?
This is what he wrote in his thing, in his blog.
How many books actually have you bought written by Salvatore Sanfilippo?
I don't know. Did he publish any?
I think one or two at least, if not more. Yes. And
Okay.
and the fact that you don't speak Italian is no excuse, please. So you didn't buy any books?
No, I didn't.
I see. Okay, fair enough.
Did you?
No, but I can't speak Italian.
Oh, okay.
So Salvatore, if you're wondering about the commercial success, what's what I'm looking for, the commercial success yet to be achieved, let's put it this way, you have 2 reasons that you're listening to right now. So, but what happened in late 2024?
Well, so anyway, he got bored writing books and messing around. So he apparently rang up Rowan and said,
"Who's Rowan?
Got a job for me." He is Rowan? The CEO of
the one who took over from Ofer all those months ago.
Yeah, a couple of years maybe. Who knows?
2, maybe 3. Full disclosure: the company was set up and run by 2 people, Ofer Bengal and Yiftach Skolman. They relinquished stewardship in the 2022, maybe 2023. Details on the respective LinkedIn profiles, I suppose. And then Yiftach, I think, is still a technical director of the company. Not too sure about Ofer, because Rowan was brought in as the new CEO. For reasons that shall go unnamed. No,
well,
I mean, we do not know. I have a couple of thoughts which I won't disclose on this podcast.
Yeah.
But rest assured, I reckon the fact that the company didn't IPO or hasn't IPO'd yet is probably a slight contributing factor to the whole thing. I'm guessing.
Could be. Yes, nobody knows, right?
I mean, the company is backed by VCs, so and these VCs normally have an exit strategy. I mean, we had a VC on the podcast all those moons ago. Details, of course, will in the show notes.
We did.
And yes, Alexander.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and these VCs normally have an exit strategy, and if the company doesn't live up to the exit strategy, normally they get bored and are looking for alternatives. I suppose, and again, full disclosure, so any Redis lawyers don't sue me because the following disclosure still applies. Pure speculation now. And yes, the First Amendment does apply, so this is free speech, or the right to free speech.
Do you have amendments in Germany?
No, I'm talking about the US now.
Well, you're not in the US.
This is where the headquarters, so fair enough, it still applies.
You're not, so they'll come after you in Germany.
I mean, just give it a try, see what happens. Anyway, it doesn't matter. No, jokes aside, it's still pure speculation, but I reckon, given the fact that the original owners didn't live up to expectations, maybe the VCs thought, again, pure speculation, that this was time for a change now. Maybe that was one of the reasons why Ron was brought in as a new CEO. But maybe Ofer and Yiftach just got bored of running the whole show. I don't know.
Maybe they're writing some books now. Who knows?
Just put a bot on their LinkedIn profiles. In that case, you will know.
Anyway,
as possible.
Yeah, good idea. Did we?
So what happened after?
We need Salvatore on the show, don't we?
We do. So Salvatore, if listening, you know the email address, right? So yes.
Yeah.
So what happened after Salvatore rejoined the company?
Not much.
A lot, Martin. Daily LinkedIn posts come to mind, for example.
I see.
You're not following this, are you?
Do tell.
Now Salvatore almost has a daily LinkedIn post on matters Redis. Yes, ranging from vector databases and why Redis is the fucking biggest or best choice for anything machine learning related, what have you. If you want to have coffee in the morning, just go for Redis.
I see. Okay.
My words.
I'm going to have to look at this. This is funny. Yeah.
So, Martin, if you want to have, if the wife fails to brew your coffee in the morning, why don't you go for an enterprise license? I'm joking, of course.
I don't think I can afford one.
Maybe you want to throw your ex-employee discount scheme onto the scale.
Oh, good idea. Good idea. Yes. Good plan.
I mean, I don't know if you're following Salvatore on LinkedIn, but
I'm not, but I'm going to.
It's really prominent what happened after he rejoined the project company, whatever you want to call it. So the suspicion might be actually that he was brought on board as an ambassador, so to speak. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, he's been a very popular figure for
vocal. Comes to mind.
Vocal as well. Yes. But I mean, there's he has a lot of fans, right? So yeah, it's definitely a good move on their part. However, it remains to be seen if it's too late, right now.
I mean, the problem, of course, they're still a private company, so they don't have to disclose any figures. So we do not know and won't know for the foreseeable future until they take this company public what the real sales increases are. Never mind these LinkedIn campaigns or not.
Good luck with that. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if you've followed this, but I did recently did a comparison of the number of contributors and commits, and Redis is now behind Valky in both departments.
So, what is Valky?
Well, Valky is the future, clearly.
Can you elaborate more?
I thought we talked about this. Valky is the Redis.
Yes, Martin, right? But maybe people do not listen to every episode.
No, we mentioned this earlier in the episode. Surely they can't remember 10 minutes ago. But yeah. So yes, Valky is the Redis fork started last year, Linux Foundation, etc. But yeah, point being that it's very quickly outgrown the Redis open source project in terms of contributors and commits, in fact. So,
yes, of course, but it doesn't come with any support or commercial contract. So if you want to go for the real thing, you want to buy a Redis enterprise license. Yes, and Redis, if you're listening, the email address is sponsored. And yes, despite what Martin tells you, we're cheaper than you think.
Well, you can speak for yourself.
Yes, Martin, I'm just doing that.
Okay, good. Well, no, you mentioned we, so I don't include myself in this cheapness.
No, so Martin isn't the cheapest, I am.
Indeed. Yeah.
Okay, what's your guess then? Valky, Redis, Salvatore or not? What's going to happen?
Well, I mean, the problem with Venice is they have had so much money now that
They do.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the funding, it's ridiculous, right? There's 12 rounds of however many billions. It's
So they can just buy the market? Is that it? Okay, fair enough.
well, that's what they have been doing, but like any company with that kind of funding. But the point being is that any kind of going public is going to become harder and harder the more money you take on, right? Because it has to be all paid for, etc.
I mean, the more VC rounds you have behind you, the more diluted the share base gets.
Yeah, that too. But also,
I grant you that.
But also, if all these investors want their money back as well, right? So that drives up.
So the pressure is actually on the IPO, I suppose.
No. But the point is, the IPO would have to be of a significant size as well to be able to get those investors their return as well.
This is where you work on the market share, no? Being a company of that ilk. So the more market share you have, the easier it gets. Given your messaging on the rest and all the rest of it.
I think they've, as many people say, missed the boat.
Wouldn't be so sure about that. I mean, given the bigger picture with the new administration coming in, tech stocks on the rise and all the rest of it, maybe 2025, maybe 2026 is here to float the to float the boat / company.
Yeah, but I mean, these are simple figures, right? The way these things work is like you've had so much investment, you need to have at least that much revenue, blah, 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 and then the share price has to be X to pay back all these investors. And I think to achieve that, they're going to struggle. And even if you probably just look at the general stats of let's say, well, they're not a startup anymore, but startups having that many funding rounds, what is the likelihood of success of an IPO, right? That probably goes down over time and with amount of funding rounds, I would imagine. Not that I know anything about VCs.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the trouble is basically that, I mean, when I checked Trump's donations, Redis didn't appear on that list in any scale. So if you, I mean, you are right. In that case, in that regard, they have missed the boat, all right. So the new administration coming in, chances are tight that they're gonna meet favorable market conditions from that angle anyway. But it remains to be seen. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, with that, we don't have a huge amount of 5-year plans to discuss.
Oh, Martin, we do. But of course, any listeners interested in the details probably would have to sign an NDA as a non-disclosure.
That's true. Yes.
So we can only talk about the next 5 years in general terms. World domination is, of course, still at the very top of the list.
Well, I thought we already achieved that. No,
almost. I suppose. I don't know. Yes. But I mean, there's still the universe.
Oh, yes.
We shouldn't confine ourselves to just planet Earth.
Hard to measure that one, isn't it? But,
yes. Especially given the fact that you keep firing these extra marketing departments left, right, and center.
Well, extra or intra, we don't care. They all need to go.
Extraterrestrial Martin. Not external, sorry.
No. Extraterrestrial, intraterrestrial.
Yes.
They all need to go.
Apparently, yes. So, extraterrestrial world domination, for want of a better expression, may take some time.
Yeah.
But I think it's now time for... or rather, to extend a big thank you to our listenership.
Next 5 years. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So, to everybody who's listening, still have listened to the links in-laws for the last 5 years, or even shorter,
and commented.
kudos to you.
Yeah, yeah, well done.
Exactly.
Unless it's your daily bedtime routine.
Yes, and do not listen to the voices who recommend therapy. They are totally wrong.
Yeah. We are much cheaper
No,
than
jokes
that.
aside, we do this for you. Simple. And if Martin thinks we are doing it for ourselves, he may have a tiny point, but at the end of the day, this
It's
is
a
for
bit
you.
about
This is not for us.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yep. Agreed.
Needless to say, if you have any suggestions, comments, or if
As
you
always,
despise the show,
yeah.
exactly, the email address is feedback@littlesinlaws.eu. We will read this back depending on schedule and stuff.
Yeah, we normally do. Yeah.
But we do have feedback, right?
We do. Oh.
We do. Yes, Coco sent us feedback. It's about 20 pages long, so...
Oh, yes. Did we not cover that one?
No, I don't think we have.
Oh, no. We need to do it in the next episode, then. We really
Okay. The details will be in the next episode, maybe. But the long and short of it, basically, he's still in Mexico. And the Germans pay per a certain part of it. That's the teaser.
Oh, yes.
Details, again, will be in one of the next shows when we have ample time to read out these 20 pages. We are joking. Keep sending feedback.
Yeah. And everybody else as well, in fact.
Yes. And do we have still time for the boxes?
Yeah, we got.
Okay, my box is Katie Saga.
Ooh.
I came across her again when I was watching Shameless. Of course, that was one of the boxes in a previous episode. But she, of course, made her breakthrough in a TV show called Married with Children. If you haven't seen this, exactly. If you haven't seen this, it was kind of in the 80s, 90s. And if you think that Shameless is controversial and hilarious, don't miss out on Married with Children. Your box, Mom.
Yeah. Yes. I'm trying to think of the name, which I have slightly forgotten. I'll come back to that one on the next episode. Yeah. Let's do that. Because I can't remember. I have a vague recollection of the name, but I would like to get it right. So.
In that case, we're going to postpone Martin's box to the next episode.
For the next 5-year revision. Yeah.
Exactly. And keep on listening.
This is the Linux In-Laws.
You come for the knowledge,
but stay for the madness.
Thank you for listening.
This podcast is licensed under the latest version of the Creative Commons license, type Attribution Share Alike. Credits for the intro music go to Blue Sea Roosters for their song Solid Market, to Twin Flames for their piece called The Flow, used for the segment intros, and finally to Celestial Ground for their song Sweet Justice, used by the Dark Side. You find these and other ditties licensed under CC at Jamendo, a website dedicated to liberate the music industry from choking copyright legislation and other crap concepts.